How is it going, everyone? It's Caleb Limited here, and today we are going to be talking about Crash Nitro Kart on the Game Boy Advance. Now, this is a game that I have never played before on the Game Boy Advance. I have played the home console version of this on the PlayStation 2, and I really enjoy that version of this game, so I was really interested to see how the Game Boy Advance version would play. And I have to say, I'm very happy with the way that this game plays. I think that this game is a lot of fun. It looks really good. And, I mean, you can tell what every character is. Their sprites look great. And overall, this is just a really fun experience. It even has adventure mode, just like Crash Nitro Kart on the PS2 or Crash Team Racing on the PS1. It still has that adventure mode. And it feels like you're playing, just a portable version of those games. It plays fantastically. I love this game, and I'm very surprised, honestly, with just how well this game controls and how good the designs of the courses actually are in this version of this game. The courses are fantastic in this game. They look great. They play fantastic. The driving on them is just really fun. And just seeing some of the kind of like designs that you see from the PS2 version put into the Game Boy Advance version, you can kind of recognize some of the stuff that's going on, and it's just kind of cool to see basically the 32-bit version of those courses. You have an amazing cast in this game. Not only do you, of course, have the usuals like Crash Bandicoot, Crunch, Coco, Dr. Neo Cortex, you have Engine, of course, you have Tiny Tiger. You have all of these great characters, but you also get characters when you play through Adventure Mode. You unlock some of the bad guys, some of these aliens that they've added into this game that you are basically trying to battle through the actual Adventure Mode. You unlock them, and once you complete the Adventure Mode, you actually unlock Spyro as well, so you can actually race as Spyro in this game, which is fantastic. I love that. Spyro's like one of my favorite video game characters, if not my favorite video game character of all time, so being able to race as Spyro in this Crash Nitro Kart game is fantastic, and he looks really cool too. In Adventure Mode, you have the choice to pick either Team Dr. Neo Cortex or you can pick Team Bandicoot. I, of course, picked Team Bandicoot because, well, I like Crash Bandicoot more than Neo Cortex. And from there, you get a similar story, pretty much the same exact story that you get from the PS2 version of this game. Earth is in danger. Crash Bandicoot and all of his friends and his enemies get kidnapped by aliens, they get abducted, and the only way to save Earth is by beating all of these galactic racers, all these galactic champions in a gigantic racing circuit. And it is a lot of fun. It's it's just a great story to get you where you need to be, right? It's a good way to get you on the courses and to just have some really cool designed characters. And it's just a good excuse to have basically all these characters in the same place at the same time. The cool thing about Adventure Mode 2 is that you can actually swap your character at pretty much any point. So you can be Coco, you can be Crash, you can be Crunch if you pick Team Bandicoot at basically any time. You can just swap your character from the garage, or you can pick a different character whenever you're about to race, and each character does have their own stats in Adventure Mode and obviously in Free Race as well. So depending on whether you like a car that handles better or drives a little bit faster, you can pick the character that suits you best. In Adventure Mode, you have little portals that you can drive up onto, and when you drive up onto those portals, they will take you into a course, and then once you finish all the courses, you will eventually have enough trophies to compete in one of the boss fights. And the boss fights are like you see in the console versions of these games. You are racing against one boss who is constantly throwing objects at you, and you have to be ready to beat them because you're going to have to be dodging, you're going to have to be using items yourself to try to get ahead of them and to stay ahead, because you really have to stay ahead of them because there is rubber banding on the boss fights. That's kind of one of the things Crash Bandicoot racing games have always been known for, is rubber banding on the boss fights. So keep that in mind. It's not a great thing that rubber banding's there, but it's just how Crash Bandicoot is. So when you get the lead in a boss fight, make sure you are using plenty of items to stay in the lead. And once you do that, you will be able to compete in more races, because you will not only unlock the next hub area where you can go and do more races, but the races that you've already completed, you actually have different versions of the race courses that you can do. Basically, you'll have, instead of just your regular race, you'll have what's called a CNK race, where you are trying to find the letters for Crash Nitro Kart in the actual race, and you're looking for them on the track, and you have to collect them and come in first place, and then you get like a little token. there's another type of race you can do that just is like crashing crates and trying to get a high score with crashing crates. I don't really know exactly how many crates you have to get to complete a level, but you don't have to get every single crate. You just need to try to get a lot of them, and then it will complete the level, and it will give you a token for completing that level in that specific mode. And there are also some little arenas that you can go into, and these little arenas are like crystal hunts, and you have to go find these power crystals in the arenas, and you have a time limit. So if you don't find them all within that time limit, then you will lose the scavenger hunt. So that is another game mode that you have. It's kind of an optional thing, but it's there if you want to do it. And of course, other than adventure mode, you do have the standard stuff that you get in most of these racing games. You have your Grand Prix that you can do in free mode. You have single races you can do, and you also have quick race. If you pick quick race, it will just automatically pick a character for you and pick a random track, and it will throw you on that track, and you will race on that. You can do Grand Prix, and the cool thing about Grand Prix is you can actually set how many laps you want to do. So you can either pick 1 lap, 2 laps, or 3 laps. I like doing 3 laps because I like kind of doing, the regular races on my Grand Prix, so I always pick 3 laps. And you have a few different Grand Prix to choose from, and a decent variety of courses. I do feel like almost every course in this feels different from one another, and they do a good job of making them all feel very unique, so that is a very good thing as well. And since each course is unique, obviously each Grand Prix is also pretty unique. You have time trials as well. I've always said I don't know why anyone really do time trials when you have all these other options, but they are there if you are someone that enjoys time trials. Time trials are hit and miss for me. Okay, sometimes, every now and then, very rarely, I'll find one that I like, but usually I just stick to the Grand Prix in most of these racing games. But I tried out the time trials in this; they're okay. But again, time trials are just kind of not really my thing. But overall, this is a fantastic game. It looks great, it plays great, and it is really just a really enjoyable time. I think that this is a fantastic game, and if you are a fan of Crash Bandicoot or the Crash racing games, and you have a Game Boy Advance, pick this game up. This is one that you should definitely have in your library because it plays so darn well. The only critique I would actually have for this game, really, is that I wish that it had how Mario Kart has its directions whenever you're about to come up on a corner. I wish it had those directions, like those arrows pointing to where the next turn is going, because the Game Boy Advance obviously has some pop-up and stuff like that with how, the graphics work and everything on it, and it's just like a lot of the level looks flat and everything. So having those arrows pop up right before you get to a turn and telling you where to turn does help quite a bit in Mario Kart, and I wish that the developers would have taken notes and put that into this game. However, the game is still plenty playable, and it's a lot of fun. In fact, I actually enjoyed this Game Boy Advanced Crash Nitro Kart more than I enjoy Mario, Super Circuit. So I think they actually did better in the end, but it would have been nice to have that one feature from Mario Kart at least. But thank you guys so much for watching. Go pick up Crash Nitro Kart on the Game Boy Advance if you do not have it already. It is phenomenal. It is not a very expensive game, and it is definitely something you should have in your collection. I will talk to you in the next one. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.